The ethics of rat bashing. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I guess you have to say, like, is it self-defense? You know, is Charlie standing his ground? Is there a stand your ground law in ethics where
Yeah.
the rats are entering his house, sort of?
You could look at it not as self-defense, but as self-preservation.
Sure. Yeah, so it's like, are they sort of attacking him when he goes and, tries to do this or that? Are they attacking his food supply? So that's sort of like an attack, and therefore his retaliation would be defense. But I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't know if I'd want to physically bash the rat, but I have done stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty unpleasant. Myself, I would figure out a different way, whatever it would take, whether that means adopting generations of rats.
200 rats.
Well, that's
Even
how many
if we say
he
that's an
bashed.
exaggeration. I mean, if you're talking about 100 rats, that's a lot. That's a lot of rats.
That's a lot of carnage and mayhem.
He's surprisingly not bloody.
What do you think he does with the rats?
Probably the furnace. I would say that's a pretty easy choice.
Okay, furnace. That's why you get that nice smoky smell.
And then the smoke goes up into the stars and makes the sky. Goes up into the sky and makes the stars or something. Let's go into this epic opening scene where Charlie does his little monologue and impresses Guillermo del Toro.
Come on, do a beautiful show. It's gonna be awesome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of It's Always Stockholm in Los Angeles. My name is Nate Harold. I'm here with Will Noon.
Hello, folks.
Today we are talking about Season 6, Episode 10 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie Kelly, King of the Rats.
Your Highness.
Written by Scott Marder and Rob Russell, directed by...
Yeah, we've got quite a fun episode today. I would say it's a fan favorite.
Can I just shock you real quick?
Can I just shock you?
Yes, please do.
Quoting
oh my
Alan
God,
Partridge.
he just took his pants off.
This is my favorite episode of It's Always Sunny.
I am fairly shocked. Not that this episode doesn't deserve it, just that you could possibly pick a favorite. That's the shocking part.
It is hard, and I'm basing that off of, I think I've talked about it on here before, where like I was mentioning having comfort episodes. Like people have comfort shows, like Seinfeld or Friends or whatever. But I'm getting a little more granular with it, saying I have comfort episodes, and the other example I can use is Community Pillows and Blankets, the Ken Burns documentary thing.
Right.
This is another one of those, because this, I don't know, it just has a little bit of everything. It's fairly unique in that it's so many locations.
Right.
And it's also just such a perfect summarization of the gang's like selfishness and ego and complete lack of empathy.
Well, it's interesting to say that because they are actively working on it.
They're made aware of it.
What the hell's the matter with you? How did you get so cynical?
Cynical?
Well, you can't even get excited to give your friend a party.
Right. And they're, like they are sort of working towards the goal. And if like the three of them, other than Frank and Charlie when they're separate, but Dennis D and Mac do find Charlie's book and do something very, very nice for him.
Right. Right. So in my observation, the only member of the gang who comes out looking pretty good, I mean, they all come out eventually good.
Yeah.
Like you said, they all do work towards a common goal, but there are some slip ups here and there.
Oh, of course.
Getting there. The only one who doesn't seem to slip up is Mac, which I have a theory.
Yeah. Because he gets he gets into the mood. He complains about the general concept in the beginning, and has very little empathy for Charlie when he's bashed 200 rats in obvious despair, and he's like, "Well, yep, okay."
Suppose I ought to get back to it?
Yep.
Yeah, you might say he has the least empathy in that scene.
But you're right. Yeah, he gets Dennis a present. And then he's on board with everything. He's trying to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. So Frank does the the trick.
I mean, yeah, the whole entire episode is a scam.
Were you trying to get us to plan your surprise party? Why wouldn't you just plan it yourself?
Well, that's lame.
Dee keeps trying to ditch Charlie.
All right, cool. I will take this coupon and sneak out the back so Charlie doesn't see me.
And understandably so.
Right. Dennis does the trick on Mac,
Yeah.
which is hilarious.
Again, I understand it.
So I grabbed that shirt out of the bag when you weren't looking, and I returned it, and I bought myself this shirt.
And yeah, but like, so Mac comes out relatively unscathed. My theory on this was that Scott Marder and Rob Russell know that since he's the show creator, like maybe there's a little sucking up, you might say.
Oh, they don't want to create an episode that makes him look too bad.
Right.
Okay.
That's just my conspiratorial theory on this.
I back it. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, Mac might even come out like net positive because of how hard he works on the gifts at the end.
Yeah. Although
I mean, we don't see them putting them together. We just see the presentation. That's what
Right.
I'm basing that off.
Yeah. I was gonna say we don't really know who did what. Although it does seem like they sort of pick favorites on the worm hats because there's 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he needs to weigh in on that.
A lot of different ways it could go.
Yes, you were saying opening scene. You want to talk about Charlie's monologue?
Yeah, I read that this was the scene that influenced Guillermo del Toro to pick Charlie for Pacific Rim.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, it could easily be false, but
It is pretty good, especially for this show.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It lends that like slightly dramatic monologue flair to what is normally a quick-paced, quick-cut, upbeat sort of comedy.
I'm gonna pinpoint it. I'm guessing, of course, because I can't get inside the head of Guillermo del Toro. But I think it's the line.
It's like whole generations of those things have died at my hands, and
The way he pauses between my and hands
Yep.
is such a weird choice, and it works so well.
Yeah, I think that's right around there. He starts naming, fathers and mothers and little baby rats. And I just noticed in the scene that Dee is drinking coffee, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was weird because it's very obvious everyone else has a beer. And then I thought for 1 second further, oh, right, she's pregnant.
Prego. Yeah.
But maybe I've seen a few more instances in this season. It seems like a common thing, or not common, but not uncommon to see one or more of them have a coffee cup.
Yeah, sometimes. I think maybe to establish the time of day.
Right. Morning versus, afternoon.
I can't imagine how bad the coffee there is. It's got to be rough.
But it also, I mean, I don't drink coffee. I think all coffee is gross. But isn't there something to be said from some of that, like, shitty, like, don't people like shitty coffee sometimes? Calling it, like, sludge or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people.
Oh, okay. You're a fancy lad.
I guess, sure.
I mean,
I don't like drip coffee at all.
okay. Interesting.
Never. Ugh. Disgusting.
Okay. You're a Nespresso guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And there's a nice little espresso machine at the coffee shop down the street. One of the nice touches in this opening scene is when Charlie touches Dennis with the rat stick.
nope, don't. All right, I just gotta go to the bathroom.
Sure, yeah.
All right, man.
Touched me with it.
Right. He taps him on the shoulder.
And here we see Frank set up that it's Charlie's birthday.
Right.
It's interesting. I mean, I guess not. I'm pretty bad with birthdays,
Oh my
but none
God.
of them could contest it.
Right.
Which I guess, now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, I guess it is the gang.
Yeah, I would say
They probably don't know each other's birthdays.
Yeah, for 4 close friends of 10 plus years, it would be surprising. But when you start getting into the fictionality of it or the sunny world of it, they're terrible, terrible people. So this is probably normal for them.
It's interesting that Mac's first idea is a new rat stick.
You want to get him a new rat stick?
That's a good idea.
Sometimes you got to go with your gut. I think that's what Mac was doing.
And I believe Dennis says that he wants to make him feel like a king for a day. And then like the slow ramp down of
In the simplest,
Easiest way.
easiest.
I'm tired today,
Charlie Kelly, King of Rats.
There's some fluidity in the alliances in this episode.
This one's interesting as far as alliances. I guess Charlie would be on his own in a sense, but he's partnered with Dee, and then he switches it up, to Frank at the end.
Yeah, neither of those go very well. So it's hard to say like how aligned they are.
Right,
say
exactly.
they're not.
That's are we saying they have scenes together is an alignment, or
Right.
they're
It
working
depends on how
towards the
you
same goal?
Yeah, it depends on how you define it. Usually it's like they're doing stuff in the episode together, like they're moving something forward, whether it's friction or not.
Right. And then in the same sense, when Dennis and Mac are working on the party, Frank seems to be on his own on that front half.
Well, that's not what Jerry Corelli said, asshole. Ha! Pitting two pig dealers against each other.
Ah, sure.
He's so happy pitting two pig dealers against each other.
Yeah, he's really in his element.
He has there's like a quick commercial break after he finishes one of those lines, and he just has like the biggest smile on his face. Like this is Frank at his happiest.
Yeah, the warthog. Dennis and Mac I think they're aligned pretty well throughout the.
Yeah.
They have that gift situation, but otherwise they're trying to work on the party, whether they're like genuinely excited about it or confused. They're doing it, and then when Dee jumps in, same deal. Like they actually go to Duncan's.
Yeah.
They change gears. They get the dream book. They actually pull it off. So solid alliance there, I'd say.
What are your feelings on Hawaiian underground trip hop luau's?
Well, love Hawaii. Big fan of that Big Island, especially. Trip hop. Who's that band that did the live from Irving Plaza or Roseland?
Portishead.
Portishead. That album is very, very good.
Yeah, Portishead is the best example. Portishead and Massive Attack, I think, are the best examples of that.
So my limited experience is positive, but my overall impression of someone saying the word trip hop is not.
No, it's a terrible term.
So, yeah, I don't know really what to say about that part. Luau, I don't think I would enjoy. As a carnivore or omnivore, a suckling pig or whatever is like, sure. But then there's like the only real experience or impression I have is like cartoonish resort type things in Hawaii. While I've never been, I assume that I would not like to see paid actors like dancing around in skirts and.
They probably still exist, but it does seem pretty antiquated. It reminds me of like 1950s, 1960s. Some sitcom goes to Hawaii and like
I would say more like, yeah, I could see it either being old school Hollywood era of like vacationing or 80s sitcoms of like Full House and things like that where they would vacation in Hawaii.
With the Beach Boys, I'm assuming.
That's basically where I'm going.
Yeah. The combination of Hawaiian underground trip hop luau thing is like intentionally made to be like confusing and not make sense.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
in that sense, it's very funny because it's things that do not go well together.
Right. And it does sort of seem like a fucking drugged out, like the impression that I would get of a scene that someone would, film for that would be one of those scenes where the character is on heroin and you're seeing it from their perspective and everything's all loopy and
Totally.
There'd be like some slow motion fire moving around and some like big fat dude with like crazy tattoos and a grass skirt, moving and
Sure. So Frank brings up the idea that the gang is too cynical. He's underwhelmed with their enthusiasm for throwing Charlie a surprise party.
I mean, giving somebody a birthday party, a surprise party, is one of the greatest things you can do for him.
And this is maybe some like meta commentary about the show. It's kind of how I interpreted it.
And this scene in the office when Frank's sort of convincing them that, like you said, they are being too cynical and they need to get excited and, support their friend. And he's like, if you can't throw your best friend a birthday party, then what's happened? It's really interesting having seen the episode several times, knowing that it's his birthday. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that makes everything he's saying hold no water. But
Right, but here's the thing. When I see him doing that, I sort of empathize with him. I see it as like a cry for help kind of, it's like he's yelling at them because they forgot that it's Charlie's birthday and they're not excited to do stuff, but he's really like, hey, this is my birthday. You forgot my birthday. And now I'm saying like, I want something and you don't want to give it to me. And that hurts,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I start to feel bad for him. It's a little sad.
yeah, just maybe the way he went about it is where
Yeah, for sure. Tricking your friends is not good.
the underlying commentary about being too cynical does hold and does. I mean, it even like gets to the gang.
Mhm.
It's a big enough deal. Frank's making a big enough case for it that it does convince them of the error of their ways. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Dennis jumps on board immediately, which might be sort of lip service, which kind of seems like a Dennis thing, where he just like grabs the spa passes and gives them to Dee immediately because she complains about being pregnant and blah blah blah, and she's like, "You guys never do anything for me."
Okay, well, in the interest of not being cynical and, doing shit for other people, I'm going to suggest that we give the 2 coupons to Dee and she does the spa thing. Surprise.
And then immediately, Dee decides to throw one of those passes in the garbage and sneak out the back door.
It takes no time for her to come up with that plan.
Right.
It
But
is instant.
when she's called out, she does realize, she's like, oh shit, I see what I did there. And then she also sort of agrees with and sides with Frank's, assessment that they're too cynical.
Oh shit. Yeah, Frank, you might be right about us getting cynical. I just jumped straight to default and was going to throw this second coupon in the trash.
Yeah, I think that's what's so interesting about, I guess, this scene and the episode in general is that like they're taking criticism, which seems so out of character.
Right. Yeah. This is kind of like almost a feel-good episode, maybe.
It is.
Yeah, so then Dee is like, okay, I can do this. Yeah, I'm going to be selfless, and I'm going to take Charlie to the spa.
And it does not start on a great note.
No, well, I would say not for Dee trying to get Charlie to the spa, but for us, it's great. We get spa day. The spa day bit is awesome.
What day?
A spa day.
What's this word spa? I feel like you're starting to say a word and you're not finishing it. Are you trying to say spaghetti? Are you taking me for a spaghetti day?
She does end up doing something for him, regardless of Charlie's misunderstanding of the word spa.
Right.
But that's like an all-time bit for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
all the spaghetti stuff is so good.
that bit, I use that.
Yeah, I think it's a big one for at least the two of us.
Yeah, for sure. Anything spaghetti related, basically.
What did you think of the RC car that is is it a raccoon?
Yeah.
Are raccoons and rats enemies?
I don't know for sure, but they're setting it up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. Maybe I didn't know something about the animal kingdom.
Yeah, I guess I don't know necessarily that raccoons. I'm going to guess raccoons are not carnivores because they seem to eat trash very, very
Just to say,
frequently.
I don't know anything about their diet other than trash.
Right. So I feel like if they were hunters, they would probably eat less trash, right?
There is a popular internet video of raccoons stealing cat food or dog food, one of the two, and they're using their hands to just grab piles of it.
Yeah, and then creeping away all weird and pseudo-human like kind of.
Yeah, 2 legs.
Yeah. That video is amazing. Yes. The RC car is pretty awesome. I guess he didn't put too much work into it because as soon as she says, "Do you want to see a movie?" he says, "You know what? Sure." Although I guess he does take some convincing. She says that she's going to take the RC car and bash it against a telephone pole.
Well, Charlie doesn't want to go because he's maybe seeing some of himself in the rats, and he's afraid that if he goes out there, like someone's just gonna hunt him, like he's hunting the rats. And Dee has an amazing line where she says,
What if I guarantee you that nobody out there will put you into a bag and bash you against a telephone pole? Would that comfort you at all?
No, that's a guarantee you can't make, T. All
right.
Yeah, his response, it's just so casual. He's playing with the RC car or whatever it is. And then
it's also just a fun visual to think of Charlie being put in a bag
and bashed. And then that's so he's playing with the RC car. His I saw it referenced somewhere on the internet as a scarecoon because it's a scary raccoon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's when Dee says, if you don't come into the movie, I'm going to take that, whatever it is, that thing, and bash it against a telephone pole. And that's when convinces Charlie, because he's just...
I can't take any more bashing today,
let's
all
go.
right?
Let's go. This will be fun.
He's over the bashing. He's had too much bashing today between his morning of rat bashing and the
Can't
talk
take
of
it.
being bashed and bashing RC cars. It's just too much. So he agrees to go to a movie.
I think as I grow more familiar with this episode and as time goes on and I learn the ins and the outs of it, I think that my current favorite point in this episode is the Dennis Mac shirt fiasco.
So in what sense? Tell me more.
The best part is Dennis's reaction to the shirt that he bought himself.
Right. He
and
very surprised and very
the suspense building up to it. There's just some great acting.
Okay. Shirt.
And then Mac's response, which is,
This brings me no joy at all. I feel nothing. I feel like you stole money from me and then you bought yourself a shirt.
With your money.
Yeah.
Well, that is what happened.
He's like, well, yeah, kind of, yeah. That, like, sort of implying that that's a good thing.
and it's just such a funny like image in your mind of the actual event happening where Mac is trying to sneak off to buy a shirt, but Dennis can obviously follow
Fully
him
aware,
and
yeah.
sees him, and then has the time and energy to take that, go back to the store, pick out the one that he liked, and then put it in the box that presumably Mac put his original shirt in.
Right.
It's just great. I love it.
And I don't know if this was what you were kind of referring to earlier when you started this, but it's weird because on some levels it seems like Dennis's actions are kind of insane. You know, like degenerate, like Always Sunny, these characters, this world they live in where someone would actually do this. But this whole thing is kind of true. And like for the giver, for the Mac in this scenario, it is about that, like the thought that counts, the surprise version of it, the fact that someone didn't ask for it and you just gave it to them. But for the receiver, for the Dennis in this situation, it can very, very frequently be absolutely useless as far as the thing that you get. You would never get it for yourself. If you would, you probably would have already gotten it.
I'd say that's like 90% of gift giving, probably.
Right. And it's such a bizarre situation. So it seems like this would be the ultimate solution because
Yeah.
it seems like this would be a wonderful solution because the giver gets to give and the receiver gets to receive, but it's what they want. But Mac's response is real and human and not a crazy caricature of a degenerate from Always Sunny. It's like,
No,
yeah,
the viewer can see themselves in Mac.
yeah, it ruins
Absolutely.
it when they just like manipulate it and get themselves what they want. And you're like, what? It's a very strange situation and it's very real and humanistic. And I feel like sometimes Always Sunny does this. They like break it down to a core issue where there's like, they're being ridiculous and they're not acting like normally people would act, but they're underneath there's a real human emotion and a real human situation that we often deal with.
It really grounds the show, like when they need it, and
Yeah.
when it hits. Like this hits perfectly.
Yeah. I'm really, really bad with gifts. You've probably experienced this or something, or you could at least see it. But woof. I'm not great at giving them because I just logic myself in and out of things, and I'm not good at receiving them because of the same thing. I'm like, well, why would I want this?
Right.
Like, I appreciate you as a person giving this to me, the time it took, the energy, like the mental capacity, the fact that I'm even in your thoughts enough for you to get me something, the money, the time, everything. But I don't want it.
You're an honest person.
Yeah. Sometimes doesn't work out for me.
Whether or not the situation calls for it.
Right. Anyway, great scene.
Yeah, it's great. Frank is negotiating with a pig dealer, as we previously spoke of. I guess another important thing to bring up here is that this is where the seed is planted that Charlie probably can't say the word luau.
Yeah, does Charlie even know what a luau is?
I doubt Charlie can even say the word luau. I mean, how do you know that this is what he wants?
Red flag. They maybe should have gone with their gut
Hello and wow.
a little bit more on that.
Yeah, it takes them a while to get there, but this is, maybe the first inkling that they have that maybe something's fishy.
And there's a great Dennis kind of talking like a mom bit in this scene.
Okay, now my first instinct when you say things about meeting people under bridges is to berate you for hanging out with people under a bridge and to say to you, why do you hang out with these people? You and Charlie shouldn't be so.
But he's like, I don't know, trying not to be cynical, but he's got to point that out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think this is the same sort of part that you're describing, but at one point Dennis says he's too critical of Frank hanging out with the bridge people and blah blah blah, and he says, you know what, I'm not going to say anything, and he even does the motion of zipping his lip, throwing away the key kind of thing.
Yeah,
which is really weird because zippers don't typically have keys, but whatever. It's a common thing. So I think right after that is where Mac responds with,
Maybe the bridge is exciting.
No, the bridge is awesome.
Ooh, it's probably pretty cool.
Dennis is freaking out, trying to respond and chastise them, but he promised to not be cynical, so he's just losing it. Again, hate to give Glenn credit, but he does a great job in this scene.
And this is just another example of Mac actually trying. Because he's the one that's probably like, yeah, it probably is pretty cool.
I mean, he says exciting, which that part I think is genuine. I think everyone could probably admit, like, it might be sketchy, it might be dangerous, but it's probably exciting.
Yeah. That's true. Charlie's got some spaghetti. I love that they just left that part out, and like D took Charlie to some Italian place, got him a to-go container of spaghetti to appease him.
Right.
So he probably would just shut up.
He's just got the hankering. Yeah, he was talking about. I think he even references at one point that she was talking about.
Got me in the mood. Yeah.
And he's got that classic circular tin, which is perfect.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have done this. There's a great fake out with the guy taking tickets where Charlie doesn't throw the spaghetti away, but makes a very believable sound.
And there we go. Got rid of it.
He did some good Foley work himself. He really does make it sound, because he like sticks his arms in the trash can.
Right.
It really does sound like he threw something in there.
Yeah, and I also appreciate the fact that he tries to convince the ticket taker that he got the spaghetti right over there when he's pointing to a cross.
Now he's back outside, but yeah, he started in there.
I bought it over there with that food.
No, you didn't.
How do you know that?
Because we don't serve spaghetti, and I just watched you walk in with it.
It's a bad idea from the start. It's not surprising.
Yeah,
the outcome.
Although I gotta say, when I saw this, maybe the first time, but definitely this time, I really did think, man, that would be kind of awesome. Like a nice tin of spaghetti and meatballs and just walk into a movie theater.
I mean, the problem that would arise is that your meatballs could fall off your fork if a bird flies
with
out
a jump
of the screen.
scare. Yeah.
Wow. Did you see that?
I think it's very sweet that Charlie moves to protect D when, again, what sounds like a bird is flying out of the screen. Sure. Yeah. He asks, is this safe?
Is this safe?
Which brought me to a little side tangent.
Okay.
What movie do you think they are seeing in 3 dimensions?
Is Thundergun Express a franchise? Is it like Thundergun? Was the first one called Thundergun? The second one called Thundergun 2? The third one's called Thundergun Express?
I think it's a franchise, but
that's where I'm landing.
my concern there is that in that like sort of rabbit hole is that there's no way that this is a Thunder gun.
Okay.
What
do you think it is?
Well, I did a quick search for three-dimensional movies that came out in 2010. And there was like a Disney movie that kind of, I forget the name of it actually now, unfortunately, but it kind of almost looked a little woodsy. There were a lot of cartoons. Most of them are cartoons. I assume it's a lot easier to animate three-dimensional stuff rather than to film it in 3 dimensions. But none of the other ones really made sense with an eagle.
Okay, here's another idea.
Okay.
Do you think it was Avatar? They filmed this probably in 2009. I believe that's the year Avatar came out.
Interesting.
There are bird-ish creatures. He says he can't understand the movie. I mean, I could see Charlie being confused by the plot.
Okay. Yeah.
And the mechanics of Avatar.
Yeah. I mean, I would go with that. I guess
they're
more
watching
so
Avatar.
A Disney film would probably be even reasonable for Charlie to follow. All right. Let's go with Avatar.
This scene has like a somewhat recurring bit in Always Sunny where they're just talking at full volume and people are yelling at them to shut up.
Yeah.
What happened to my meatball? Oh no, you know what happened when I...
There's some great like background vocals in this scene. Like every now and then it's somebody like, will you shut up?
I was thinking about that because it seems pretty scripted in its timing, you know? So
it's a TV show.
Right. I know it's a scripted TV show, but I'm saying, do you think those are background people or like set people that are like, or even Mac and Dennis just from the other side of the room? Or is that post?
Yeah, it's post. 100%. Okay. Yeah.
I just wasn't sure. Like, if it's just easier to be like, yeah, we'll just throw that in. Also, I just want to say that we missed it in the last scene, but when Charlie does try to imply that he bought the spaghetti in the movie theater, and the guy calls him out, he says,
"You've called my bluff, sir. I shall dispose of this post haste. A moment, please."
Yeah, that is a good bit. He knows when to hold him, knows when to fold him.
Yeah, it's just such a like a regal, noble line. He's going into like a lawyer mode.
Yeah, he is. And he's got that like somewhat serious side in him.
He knows when he's been bested, and yeah, it's just he gives it up.
I love that he displays when he finds the meatball. He displays it to the entire audience so they know.
Yeah, just to make sure.
But he's pretty fed up. It's hard to understand, so he's out of there.
Yeah. I think at some point there's a really great line from. Well, I'm positive there's a really great line from D in there. When they're arguing, I think it might be when he's searching for the meatball and he's crawling around on the floor. Although it really looks like he threw it very far away.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe he dropped another meatball and didn't notice the difference. Anyway, I believe her line is,
"Shut up and watch the movie. I'm going to attack you. I don't care how pregnant I am, and I'm going to get out of the seat. I'm going to attack you."
I love the fact that she says attack, not punch, not kick, like not beat the shit out of, just I will attack you.
Caitlin Olsen is so good at that, like exasperated, at your wit's end style, frantic acting. She's just a master of it.
That might be a very natural instinct of hers after 6 years with these 3 guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you want to talk about Dickless Dennis?
Yeah. I think it's great. I really hope that this was like some improv. Because it really, it's pretty good, especially when Dennis gets to his laugh.
Dickless Dennis.
No, that's what we should call him.
It's totally fine now. Oh, Dickless Dennis.
Oh, that's the best part. That's the best part.
His fake laugh is so good because I think everyone's been there. When the whole, when a group of people get together, they make a joke and then someone jumps on that. I mean, if I've never apologized formally, I want to do it right now on the podcast in front of millions of listeners. Nate Harold, I think that 10 years ago or so, in the van, probably more so, fun may have been a little hard on you.
Yeah,
we may have piled on a bit much.
Oh, I was getting bullied.
Yeah, you were getting bullied. I mean, I think everyone there was a legitimate friend and ally to you in general. But in that moment, it was a bit much. And I feel like everyone's been there. Maybe you more so than some others, because you're a sweet, gentle soul. And Dennis is in that position when they claim that a keg exploded and a piece of shrapnel mangled his dick. I guess maybe they thought he was going to lose it at one point. So that's when they started calling him Dickless Dennis.
And he's been to the hospital, presumably the emergency room, and he's back now, and he's fine.
Back.
He's like,
but it's fine. He says, I think he maybe says they were able to reattach it, and it's perfectly fine. And he offers to show Charlie to prove that it's fine.
I love it.
They get to that point. Charlie's like, nope, don't want to see that. But yeah, I really do kind of hope that there was some improv there, and it just kind of like accelerated, and there was some honesty in Dennis's response, because it does seem very natural. He tries to deflect the attack with a fake laugh.
Another one of the best bits in this episode is this like reoccurring thing with Dee about throwing one of the coupons away.
Hello. I would like to redeem this coupon and go ahead and toss this one in the trash.
She can't just like keep it in her purse until she gets home and then throw it away. It's almost like she wants to flaunt it.
There's some joy in that, because she's probably been so frustrated by Charlie up to this point.
So this is where she's confronted. The gang busts in.
Including Dickless Dennis.
Dennis with a dick, without a dick, we don't know. He hasn't shown us.
But it is addressed again.
Keg exploded in the bar, blew Dennis's dick off.
No,
It's a mess down there.
No,
It's
no,
a
my
monster.
My dick is fine, D. It's
But, I mean, Dee's not wrong. She did offer.
She tried to get him to the spa.
Charlie said no.
Yeah, we're not sure if he understood what was happening, but he was very, very reluctant. Seemed more amenable to the movie idea, so she went with it. And then he left the movie.
This has one of the most iconic lines, again, for me personally.
What is your spaghetti policy here?
Absolutely, 100%. This is a series best. As far as things that I can quote, a spa day is one thing, but what is your spaghetti policy that's the number one line for me.
It should also be noted that Charlie is eating the spaghetti out of a Ziploc bag because Dee threw it on the floor and then he picked it up with his hands. So
Right. We forgot to mention that. There was a little mix up. There's a little spillage. Dee got pissed, but he managed to save quite a bit of it.
He's been working on that spaghetti for a long time, and there's still a good amount left.
Right. Well, you have to think about how much he could possibly eat in transit. I know he does mention that he wanted to savor it and watch it during the movie.
Yeah, right.
So he might kind of feel similarly, bringing what's left back in the Ziploc, and he might be waiting to like sit down, focus, relax. I guess they don't have a spaghetti policy, or their policy is no spaghetti.
He brings it in.
Oh, he does. Amazing. So they must have a favorable spaghetti policy. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I wanted to ask, do you think Danny DeVito has special underwear that is very strange and weird shaped? Or do you think he's just so short that it looks crazy and like he has tall underwear? Is that just normal?
Yeah. I think the second one is correct.
Where's the ropes?
It does look crazy, right?
Of course, Danny DeVito looks crazy. Love him. I'm not shaming him by any means. He has an interesting body type. So I think no matter what you put on that dude, it's going to look different.
You know when he gets the skinny jeans or whatever, and he's like...
That was going to be my
prancing
example.
around?
Yeah.
It honestly doesn't... They don't look that weird. I mean, it's adorable. It's like the cutest thing in the world, but it doesn't look so strange as his underwear. It's just so... They're tighty whities, but they're so tall. Usually I think of tighty whities as like sort of triangular or I don't know what shape that is.
Form-fitting and like, for lack of a better term, like sleek.
Yeah, these look tall. They look like if, in like the 1920s, if someone had to like make underwear in a small town from like an old-timey photograph of some underwear, they'd be like, oh, like this? I don't know. Like you need suspenders to hold them up or something.
I mean, Frank is a lot older than the rest of the gang. Like this could be a vintage piece.
Oh, this could be underwear. Handed down.
Let's talk about Z and Duncan.
Okay, let's talk about him.
Z, played by the great Chad L. Coleman.
Love him.
Chad L. Coleman is in some great television. He was in The Wire. That's where I know him from as Cuddy, one of the best characters on that show.
Okay, nice.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I think he was in The Walking Dead too. He was in another show that I watched called The Expanse, where he plays the character Fred Johnson, which is maybe like the laziest name for a character in recent memory.
Right.
He's great. He delivers one of my favorite lines of It's Always Sunny entire series.
Pregnant.
Doesn't sound like a question. It sounds like an assessment, and it's like, okay, yeah,
Great observation.
yeah, exactly.
I love that they mistake him for Duncan. I mean, fair enough. He answered the door.
Also, it looks like he's eating some like canned peaches or something,
Yeah.
or maybe string beans. I don't know what it is.
Duncan, played by David Guerra, who is, does this person play the most characters on It's Always Sunny?
I did
As a
read
guest
that he
actor?
has 2 other characters at least that are completely
Yes.
unrelated.
Yeah, the thug in the Liberty Bell. I think we talked about his amazing accent.
Well, what have we got here? A pair of puffs about town, sodomites in frilly lace.
And the host in the Oldies Rock Cafe.
Oh, weird. Very
Yeah.
strange.
He looks very different, in every single role that he plays.
Although it's interesting, maybe I'm making it up, but it almost feels like he had a slick ponytail as the manager in the Oldies Rock
He
Cafe.
did. Yeah, he definitely did.
Which is not out of character because a lot of retail people are like rock and rollers who have to clean it up for the day job.
This is just my day job.
Yeah. Do you know what video game Duncan is playing?
I thought you were going to ask me that, and I wish I had a better answer for you other than I don't know. And it doesn't look real. It doesn't look like a real video game.
Right.
I'm guessing it's like some stock thing you can buy from some company. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Do you think if he were playing a real video game, they would have to give someone rights? Like, do you have to
yeah, I
approve
would
that?
assume so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. In that case, then that makes sense. They would someone probably animated a fake video game scene and they sell it.
Regardless, he got to level 3, which is no small feat.
Oh, shit! Level 3, son! Yo, level 3!
Or, how many games have you played where level 3 is impressive? Although, have you ever played for a Nintendo Entertainment System Top Gun?
Yeah, exactly. I did land on the aircraft carrier once.
Like once, but the second level is refueling midair is insane.
Impossible. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever completed that second level. So if he was playing Top Gun, very impressed.
Let me ask you this.
Riddle me this.
What does Duncan do? What is this? What is this land that he's created?
I assume Duncan is a drug dealer.
I assume that as well.
It just makes sense. I don't want to, stereotype people or make assumptions, but it just seems like he's got some babes sitting next to a 4-foot tall bong, maybe.
It's a very tall bong. Yeah.
And then I'm really curious about this next piece here. He's got a couple having sex on the other side of some very thin plastic sheeting that's pulled taut and, attached. But later in the scene, when they break through, he claims that they broke his wall and he's pissed.
You piece of shit! You broke my wall!
It makes no sense and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it sort of implies that that's not part of his apartment, that they are his neighbors and he has nothing to do and they broke the wall and he's pissed about that.
Right.
Which I don't think is possible. I think once that quote unquote wall is down, I don't think you see any doors. I don't know where you are on this situation, but I love the idea of silhouette sex happening in a different room. As a background vibe.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what he was going for.
Yeah. To me, that would be a sick, I don't know. It's like a drug dealer having a shark tank in their, a million gallons in their living room or whatever, a sick flex. It's I pay people to have sex behind this silhouetted curtain as a background thing. It's a cool part.
That's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my impression. and I genuinely back it. That makes me think like maybe it would be cool to be a drug dealer if that's like the vibe.
Yeah, Duncan's got an interesting vibe happening.
He's also getting a haircut.
He's getting a haircut from a very itchy man.
Yeah, kind of weird. But he's also, is he wearing a bandana or goggles?
Yeah, I think both.
Yeah. Like he's got something going on, which to me seems like it would make it hard to get a haircut at that point, unless he always wears them. In which case,
and then you just cut around it.
Yeah, like why would you get a haircut and then apply your head dressing? You know,
I'm not 100% positive, but I know we see Duncan again, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's wearing.
Yeah, that's like his outfit, his signature move.
When Dennis finds the dream book and he reads the cover, he says,
Whoa, hey, guys. I bet you this is it. Drambok, the Minch Dream Book.
Yeah.
That's pretty close to the Swedish translation of dream book.
Do you just know those two words?
Yeah, I definitely know those two words.
Well, I guess I should have said,
Drambok.
is dream book in Swedish a phrase?
No.
Okay,
That's
you just
just
knew
the literal translation.
Right. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was like a common phrase, like a thing. But,
no, I don't think so.
But yeah, you just know the two common words, and it's pretty close. Maybe we should keep this in mind because maybe that would be amazing if Charlie's illiteracy was actually...
He just knows another... Well, he does know, whatever
Gaelic.
language... Yeah, Gaelic, that's what it was. But yeah, the gangs just... they decide to like fight the cynicism and literally turn Charlie's dreams into a reality, which is a very funny little concept.
Especially for the gang. But yeah, they're really, at this point, just shedding away their cynicism and going for it.
My gut is telling me to throw this book in the trash.
Well,
It's
yeah.
absolute nonsense.
I think we're all feeling the same things, but I think we need to fight that instinct. We have to throw a party for Charlie. It's so simple. If we can't do that, what does that say about
You're right,
us?
you're right. This isn't about us. Let's not be cynical. Let's do what the kid wants. You know, if he wants a worm hat.
Worm hat.
Sauna scene's pretty short. It's just got a nice little exclamation point on the end.
Yeah, they're really just going for the, Frank comes in and scares off the rest of the dudes by saying that the guy that wipes down the loads is coming in.
And then it turns out there is a guy who wipes down the loads, and he interrupts Frank trying to console Charlie.
Yeah, which looks like they're wrestling on the ground and Charlie's screaming about being the rat because it's too stuffy. He's freaking out.
Just let me know when you're done. I'm the guy who wipes down the loads.
Are you familiar with David Urey?
No.
David Urey is the guy that comes in to wipe down the loads.
It's a great performance.
He's got 1.5 lines and he really steals that scene. He is related to Lesser Urey, which is an awesome first name to have. Especially if you were like a sibling, if you were like, if you had a sister or brother, and you're like, oh, he's the Lesser Urey.
Wrong kid died.
I thought that was awesome. Anyway, so Lesser Urey was like a, early 1900s painter, and he was apparently super famous. But then he was put on blast, shall we say, because he would rent out some of his famous paintings, I guess. Maybe that was the thing. And then he would crank out like shitty versions of them and sell them.
Okay.
And I guess at the time it was hard to get like feedback, and like if you did it in two different cities, it wouldn't, your name as a decent or famous artist might travel, so someone might want something from you. But if you sold them a shitty version of something, they might not know until months or years later. He had a bit of a checkered history. People weren't really amped on that. Anyway, I thought it was weird because we always talk about nepotism.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
But back to David Urey and this century. Well, yeah, this century. I just thought this was the weirdest thing, but his neighbor is a cartoonist, and somehow his Wikipedia has a description of David Urey by his neighbor, and his neighbor, this cartoonist, described him as Spooge Man, and quote unquote a cavalcade of reprobates, sleazeballs, derelicts, and weirdos, which I believe he's talking about him as a professional actor. So
yeah.
All of his characters,
right,
are kind of he's been typecast.
He's got a face.
He has a creepy, weird kind of face. For a second, I thought he was council member Jam from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I could see there's some similarities there.
But he's not. Also, I think at one point, someone mentioned that like almost all of his characters die at some point, like a surprising number.
Well, this man didn't die. He was very polite.
Yeah.
And
this is an exception.
very, very informative.
And he was also very, like you said, polite. I think he says, like, sorry to disturb you guys. I'll come back. I'm the guy that wipes down the loads. Just take your time. Let me know when you finish up.
And the episode culminates with Charlie coming back for the surprise party.
They surprise Charlie. Well, that's also when we find out the reveal that it's actually Frank's birthday.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Not my birthday, though.
It's not your birthday?
Nope.
No, Dix, it's my birthday.
An M. Night Shyamalan style twist.
Keeping it in the City family. And I think they've stripped away so much of their cynicism that they don't have any lack of cynicism left for Frank.
Yeah.
So
they just kind of ignore him. Basically.
Yeah, they tell him to, like, screw off. He's super pissed. And not rightfully so, but I do understand him being sad and upset that everyone forgot him. And now that they realize they forgot him, they've moved on already. They're still focused on Charlie.
Dennis does, again, scold him for hanging out with Duncan.
Where's Duncan?
You should not be hanging out with Duncan. You should not be associating with people like that. I'm saying it. I don't care. It's coming out of my mouth.
Right. Yeah, because Frank's upset that they didn't get Duncan and the bridge crew. One interesting thing before Charlie sees his dreams come to life. I don't know if you noticed, but in the background there are several bags of sand.
I did notice that,
which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
In my brain, I was like, put sand in the bar. Like, how are they going to get sand? Are they going to get like a truck full of sand? And I kind of forgot that you can just go to Home Depot and buy bags of sand.
Buy some sand, yeah, in case there's a hurricane or something.
Is that what you're going to need?
Isn't that what they put up? Sandbags?
Yeah, I guess if you want to make a little
flooding.
barrier.
Pretty sure that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, other than that, we just go through we see the denim chicken.
Denim chicken?
Yes!
Yeah, denim chicken.
Now I gotta reroute the pig delivery.
Nobody gives a shit.
That's probably the lowest effort one, but it also looks maybe the funniest.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty good, and it's pretty accurate, seemingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Based on the picture, yes.
Yeah,
super
spot
accurate.
on. They got the small jeans.
Probably a pair of Frank's jeans.
Could have been Frank's. The waist might be a little small, but next we have the bird with human teeth. I don't know if it was specifically human teeth, but
Okay, and I'm assuming the teeth are fake, yes?
it's pretty amazing that Charlie wants to make sure that they're fake, and Dennis he reassures him that they're not human. No, they're not real human teeth.
Right.
But Charlie wasn't asking if they were real human teeth. He wants to know if they were actually the bird's teeth.
And he's still pretty skeptical. Like he leaves that interaction kind of being like on the fence still.
No, I mean, did you discover a bird with teeth in this fashion?
That does not exist in nature.
Okay, I'm not sure about that, but either way, good glue work.
Right. He wasn't sure if the gang had just discovered a new breed of bird, a new species.
And found it and taxidermied it. And,
with teeth. And then, of course, finally we have the worm hats.
Worm hat.
Which none of them are really correct because Worm Hat is just a character.
But A for effort, man.
Yeah.
The variety of those.
Yeah, although I gotta say, the little hat is just like from Monopoly, right? I mean,
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. The bucket hat with worms tied to it, not so much. But I gotta say, the tall actual hat that makes you feel like you're a worm, that seems custom. So that must have been a good amount of effort.
Definitely. And it's really emphasized because Mac is wearing it and looking completely ridiculous.
Yeah, very worm-like.
Again, if Guillermo was watching this episode, he was probably also taking note of Charlie's reaction to getting the new rat bat.
Oh, man. Well, what do you
Oh, you like it?
think?
I love that. I mean,
Aw.
I don't know what to say because no one's ever really, I don't know what to say, guys.
Say anything, man.
It's a very violent looking tool.
Yeah, this is everything I think of when I think of like a badass, like gnarly homemade weapon, like post-apocalyptic.
Nails
it's got a
and
chain
chains.
wrapped around it with the nails going straight through.
I love the comment that this new bashing stick is more humane.
And you can bash up a whole bunch of rats with one quick strike, so it's more humane.
It's just funny to hear that term and then look at what he's talking about.
Right, the weapon at hand. There are probably more humane ways to do it, but we're not scientists. So
If we're talking about the bashing, purely the
Method.
bashing aspect of it, then yes.
yeah.
Will Noon, what is your letter grade for this episode?
I'm gonna follow in your footsteps. A+ for me. I mean, the fact that we get, what is your spaghetti policy? We get a spa day. We get a lot of focus on Charlie. We get a guy wiping down the loads. We get Z and Duncan. We get silhouette sex. There's just a lot going on.
I couldn't agree more. It's a
AA+.
What?
AA+.
That's insane. Oh my God.
I couldn't agree more. I have nothing more to add to your list of compliments on this show.
Let's do this next week.
See you next time.
Brought to you by the Natty and Noon Network.